Never, ever get your medications at the hospital pharmacy. Prescriptions are needed for almost nothing. The price differential is tremendous between different levels of pharmacies in Thailand. Hey everybody, Sawadee Kap, Sabaydi Mai Kap. Unless you're one of my subscribers, and I'm going to say, what decap? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you've got to watch my last video and my one-word Thai lesson. Hey, when you're thinking about moving to Thailand, retiring to Thailand, maybe even just staying here long term, a big concern that people have is about medical care and the cost of medical care. And that brings up drugs and medicines. How much do they cost? What is their availability? Are you going to have a tough time getting your prescription? So that brings us to our subject of today, which is pharmacies in Thailand. Pharmacies and the availability of medicines is completely different in Thailand than in the United States. When you think of a drugstore in the United States, you think of Walgreens and Rite Aid and CVS, and they're big stores. And the pharmacy is stuck in the back corner of the store, almost like an afterthought. So pharmacies in Thailand, they're small little stores. They're typically about the size of your living room. And these stores are typically one-person stores. They're basically owned by the pharmacist. So when you go in the door, you're greeted by the pharmacist. They're the one that's answering the phone. They're very, very small time. But that's also really good because they're super accessible. Pharmacists are completely different in Thailand in that, unlike the Western world where they can't diagnose illnesses and prescribe medicine, they can in Thailand. They're used almost like doctors by a lot of Thai people. If you don't know this already, Thai people are crazy about going to the doctor for about everything. In the Western world, if we have a sore throat and we think we're getting a cold, we typically think like, you know what, I'll just take it easy for a day or two and it's going to go away. In Thailand, if you feel sick, you go to the doctor or you go to the pharmacist and you get medicine. It's just the mentality. Maybe that's because medical care and drug costs are so inexpensive in Thailand. So it's very common for people in Thailand to perhaps not want to take the time to go to a doctor, so they go to their local pharmacist. And the pharmacist will take the time to talk about their symptoms, take a little health history, really listen to what people have to say, and then recommend a medicine. I'll tell you the first time that ever happened to me when I went into a local pharmacy and I was looking for something to help me sleep. And the pharmacist, first of all, wow, was she beautiful. I mean, she was incredibly beautiful. But the second biggest surprise was she must have taken like 20 or 30 minutes with me. No one else was in the store. And she talked so much about my sleep issues and talked about just all kinds of things related to sleep. And she ended up giving me a medicine that cost 60 baht. I mean, she spent all this time for 60 baht. I probably shouldn't be repeating this story because when I mentioned this to Joy about the beautiful pharmacist spending 30 minutes with me, she wasn't thrilled with the story. Anyway, my point is, pharmacists are really, really helpful. And people go there without going to the doctor. Now, the second issue regarding getting medicine in Thailand is prescriptions are needed for almost nothing. Virtually every medicine can be given to you without a prescription. So the first takeaway I want you to have here is that a pharmacist in Thailand is really a helpful person for you to get to know, because they can quite often take the place of a doctor for some minor issues and really give you quality information regarding what medicine you should be taking. Now, what about which pharmacy to go to? I think that there are 4 categories of pharmacies, and I kind of made these categories up myself, but I've noticed that the price differential is tremendous between different levels of pharmacies in Thailand. The most expensive pharmacies by far are hospital pharmacies. Never, ever get your medications at the hospital pharmacy. The only time you should be doing that is if the medication you need is not available at a non-hospital pharmacy. That's pretty rare. So that is the most expensive level of pharmacy. The second most expensive one are the chain pharmacies. Boots and Watson's are the two big ones. They're the ones you're going to see in malls, taking up large storefronts in touristy areas. They're going to have quite a bit higher prices, not quite as high as a hospital, but still quite high. Another thing that I've found with these chain pharmacies is that they tend to be much more cautious regarding prescriptions. So where an independent store will give you a medication without even bringing up the issue of a prescription, don't be surprised if you go to a big Boots or Watson's in a mall and they ask you for a prescription. They may actually require it in some cases. The third level down in terms of most expensive would be independent pharmacies, but in high tourist areas. So if it's a pharmacy located right outside a major temple or a tourist attraction, they're paying more for that store rental. So they're going to be charging more for their drugs and medications. The places that you should be going are small independent drugstores that are just located in a regular commercial street or a neighborhood. That's where you're going to get your best deal and quite often very, very helpful pharmacists. Although actually in Boots and Watson's, I found their pharmacists to be very helpful as well. All right, so far we've got you don't need a prescription. To save money, go to independent pharmacies. And pharmacists can actually help you prescribe an illness. They're not going to prescribe a heart condition for you, but when you've got some minor issues, they can help recommend a medicine and have a good, intelligent conversation with you regarding what you should be taking. So the next issue is, what about the actual costs of these medicines? So just like in the Western world, generic medicines are always going to be cheaper, and they're incredibly cheap in Thailand. But where you see the biggest difference in price is if you're one of those people that really wants to get a brand name. It's there that the price differential is huge. So let me give you a couple specific examples. Let's start with Atorvastin, which is the generic for Lipitor. That's a statin to lower cholesterol. Well, generic US, cheapest you're going to probably find, the prices I'm giving you for the US are from Walmart, which I find consistently to be the cheapest. So for 30 tablets at 40 milligram, I found it at $16.62. Pretty cheap. Even cheaper in Thailand, 390 baht for 30 40 milligram tablets. But what about if you want brand name Lipitor? For 30 tablets of Lipitor, it's $582 US. In Thailand, 2,397 baht. Now, if you're coming to Thailand from California or maybe the East Coast, well, you're on an antidepressant. You probably are on Prozac. So let's talk about that. Fluoxetine, the generic form of Prozac, if you were to get brand name Prozac for 30 tablets, 20 milligram each, would be $444 in the US. In Thailand, 900 baht. And according to my YouTube statistics, my average audience is male and over 50. So you might be interested in Viagra. I actually don't know what that medicine is for, but let me talk about it anyway. The generic form of Viagra is Sildenafil. So if you were getting a 50 milligram tablet, let's start with generic, about the lowest price you're going to find in the US is about $2.25 a pill. In Thailand, generic, 20 cents a pill. But what if you want brand name Viagra? In the US, $70 a tablet. In Thailand, 380 baht each. So the medicines I just talked about are some of the most commonly prescribed in the Western world. Let me give you a few more. I'm not going to compare. I'm just going to give you the Thai price, and you can see what those are for the generic version. And by the way, I didn't do any price shopping in Thailand. I didn't shop around with different pharmacies to impress you and give you the lowest price I could find. I just went to my local pharmacies. I didn't want to ask them like 10 different drug prices. So I went to one neighborhood pharmacy. I gave them 3 of these medicines. I went to another one. I gave them 3 or 4 and another one. I'm giving you those prices I found. I'm sure that you can find these even cheaper if you took the time to shop around. So let's start with Lisenopril, which is generic for Zestril, that lowers blood pressure. 20 milligram tablets, 10 for 90 baht. Metformin, which is generic for Gluophage, that's a diabetes medication, 1,000 milligram tablets, 30 for 332 baht. Amlodipine, which is generic for Norvasc, that also lowers blood pressure, 10 milligrams, 10 for 30 baht. Metoprolol, that's generic for Lopressor, a heart medication, 100 milligrams, 10 for 55 baht. So the generic form of Ventolin is Albuterol. And at Walmart, for the generic inhaler, it was $22.90. In Thailand, for a generic Albuterol inhaler, 140 baht. Now, what if you want to go brand name? A Ventolin brand inhaler in the US, $65.69. In Thailand, 200 baht. It's really hard to believe the difference in these prices, but maybe it shouldn't come as a surprise when we consider how inexpensive quality medical care is in Thailand. So they kind of go hand in hand. If you're wondering what region in Thailand I got these prices in, I live in Chiang Mai. If you don't know Thailand, that's the second biggest city in Thailand. But I think you'll find that medicine prices are pretty much the same throughout Thailand. And by the way, speaking of Chiang Mai, that's where Joy and I are based. And if you're thinking about moving here or retiring here, we've got a lot of videos to help you get going. We've got one regarding the cost of living here in Thailand. We really went to a lot of trouble when we made it. It talks about not just rental prices, but we actually show you different apartments to give you an idea of what they look like. Instead of just talking about food prices, we literally took you with us to about 12 different restaurants so you could see the price of Thai food and Western food and nice restaurants or neighborhood restaurants. And we talked about transportation costs and really gave you, I think, a very exact budget of what it really would cost to live in Thailand and specifically in Chiang Mai. And we did another video talking about health insurance costs and other living costs here in Thailand. So I hope that those might be helpful for you. All right, as always, it was a pleasure talking to you. If you come to Thailand, Joy and I are really here to help you, so feel free to leave us a message. We respond to every comment that people leave on our video. And hey, please subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know about new videos. And likes and shares and all that stuff are always welcome if you found this video helpful. So until I see you again, Sawadee Krap.